Hello, and we are live. Hi to the camera and to the ether. Um, do forgive my hilarious Appearance. Uh, kind of. Uh, kind of forgot that I had to stream. And oiled my hair as soon as I came back home because I'm really worried about losing my hair, which is happening right now. But nonetheless, we don't neglect, but we don't worry either, which is what we talked about yesterday. Uh, Speaking of which, I have successfully updated the stream information for the first time. I remembered on my own, rather than either remembering at the beginning of the stream or forgetting about it entirely. I put it in my mental checklist now. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today was how often we get the same effect from talking about doing something and doing the thing, which is what I think Ryan Holiday discusses in the book Kill Your Ego or something. But basically, it's the concept of you getting this almost the same degree of gratification from speaking about the things that you want to do as you do from actually doing them, right? And if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? The idea being, you get stuck in a loop where you're continuously talking about the things that you want to do rather than actually doing them. And the reason that it gives you the same degree of gratification is twofold. One, when you speak something, it's closer to reality than it is to your, fictionalized, conceptualized world. And two, more importantly, if you have good friends and people around you that listen, they're always going to be encouraging and applauding you for the fact that you even consider that idea, right? So often you get stuck in this loop where you've simply received the gratification from speaking about the idea and are no longer motivated by it, motivated enough to pursue it. Now, that's not to suggest never speak about the things that you want to do. Like right now, as ironic as it may seem, I'm speaking about the things that I want to do in my life. But the idea must remain in your head that that's not where it ends. That's simply where it begins. Now, I'm also a big fan of the work in silence, and you know to not discuss too much about the things that you want to do. But I think that's more of my own personal struggle with recognition, in the sense that I am someone who's easily affected. Rather, my ego is something that's easily affected by attention. So, as ironic as it may seem, me having my face revealed and my identity to an extent disclosed, and this stream open to the whole world, I'm not someone who wants to be affected by that notoriety, should it ever come. Now, I'm not so sure if that makes sense to you, but the idea being, I have to remain an authentic person while at the same time seeking the heights that I seek. That I do not let those heights change what is fundamentally me. Now, it's it's invariably going to happen that your circumstances are going to change you and you're going to change your circumstances. And if anything, you should hope that you change as the circumstances change, because if you're not adapting, you're regressing. If you're not actively fighting against decay, you're regressing, right? But the idea is there are a few fundamental values that you never let go of. And I think one of those fundamental values for me is that I I'd always like to remain and remind myself that I am completely mortal, and and that I'm only human every day. Because it's very easy in this world to assume the position of God when we have no concept of a true God to govern us. I think that's I think that's one of the main problems that arises from us not having religion anymore. Not that I'm an advocate for religion. Religion has the dogmatic practice of religion has brought so much pain in the name of truth that it's not worth it anymore. But there must be a process to find an alternative that allows us not to let any other thing become our God. Now, I might be very loose with the interpretation that I'm using here, but some religions have the concept of or rather the idea that only God can be God and nothing else can be God. And for obvious reasons about the possible issues that might raise out of my interpretation of it, I'm not going to disclose which religion I think suggests this exactly, but nonetheless, the idea is God is removed from the from anything that isn't God, in the sense that I understand that's circular logic, and that doesn't make perfect sense, but I'll try to break it down in a way that it does. The idea being, you cannot let your desires become your God, you cannot let your ego become your God, you cannot let yourself become the God, which is absolute narcissism. You cannot let another person become your God. Then that is, you are subjecting yourself to slavery. You cannot let things become your God, because you're limiting yourself to the material world, and are unable to look past it. So the idea is, you cannot let anything assume the position of God but God. And you may ask, what is God then, if not all of these things that come so naturally to us? And I feel like there's no right answer. The answer that I can think of that's closest to my definition of God is something that I like to call the will of the universe, which is not to suggest that the universe is a conscious entity, or God itself is a conscious entity, but the idea is to place a power over yourself so that you remain humble all the time. Not to suggest that you're great and you must be humble, but rather, you are and you will die, and then you come, you become, and then you die. So I think that's a very good thing to remember, that the finitude of life and your own existence. Which brings me to the second thing, which is second thing I wanted to discuss, not that I listed a first and second thing, but second thing I wanted to discuss, which is the whole idea of your 20s should be for this, your 20s should be for that, your 20s should be for exploring and creating and traveling or staying home, saving money, hustling, grinding. I'll be honest with you, man, at the end of the day, your 20s, 30s, 40s, fucking 60s, 90s, all of them are for you. Nobody else. Fuck it all. They are for you. And when I say you, think of even giving as a selfish act. If that makes sense. Think of the feeling that giving invokes, and understand that even giving to another person is a selfish act. And it's very important that you make it a selfish act, because the moment you make it a selfish act, you have no external expectation. You have your only expectation is satisfaction from within. Fuck whether they're grateful. Fuck whether they're getting you something back. Because the moment you give with the expectation of getting something back, then it becomes transactional. Then it's not a matter of kindness per se. Now I'm not saying, be go wild and just simply. I'm not saying go wild and just give without any second thought as to whether you're getting anything back from this person. I say be judicious with it. Be judicious with it for sure. But there is an extent to which you can find it in your heart to give to another person without expecting zero things back. And I think zero things from them back. The only thing you can expect is that you will feel good at the end of it. Which is why I think, to an extent, depending on the degree of it, you should make altruism something that remains true to its form, which is altruism is a fundamentally selfish thing. You should make it a selfish thing, and only if it's a selfish thing, then does it remain true to its form. Because the moment it's not a selfish thing, the moment you're doing it for some other reason other than the gratification of the self, rather, the moment you're doing it for some other external reason, is the moment that it stops being altruism, that it starts being transactional. Now, that I digressed from what I was talking about, which is your 20s, 30s, 60s, whatever the fuck age you are, they are for you. Now, the nature of life is such that you never exactly know where you are going to end up. And precisely because of that, there are multiple answers, and none of them are right and none of them are wrong. In the sense that they're equally fucked and equally great. Because the one true thing about life is that you're going to get fucked. You're also going to have very cool shit to do. So accept it as it comes. Accept the fact that you're going to get fucked. Accept the fact that you're going to have cool shit to do. Now that you accept it, should it stop you from seeking to change circumstances? No. This is like the same thing we discussed yesterday, which is you accept things as they are. You accept it as it comes. You do not let your emotions get affected by it. You do not let yourself be filled with anger, hate, or rage, or love, or despair, or despise. Do not despise the world. You just you are. If the world stabs you tomorrow, you accept the fact that you have the wound, but it does not mean you just let it be there. You pull it out, you stitch it up, you punch back, do whatever you can. Now that is not to say, you know, do not react at all. But I'm saying do not give too much attention to the fact that you react. I'm not so sure if this is really good advice, but I think it falls under the category of stoicism, which is that you understand that in the grand scheme of life, all of these things are given. The degree to which it may affect you is different from individual to individual, and how is that really helping you thinking about the degree to which it affects another individual? Because at the end of the day, no matter what, you're going to have to live your life. So the best you can hope to do is attempt to change the circumstances for your life. Now, as to what we were discussing earlier, once again I digressed, which was how whichever part of the year, whichever age you are, that time is for you, and that there is no specific right answer. See, I'm working under this assumption because I don't think there is a specific right answer for me. Because I'm the kind of human being that has so many wildly different dreams and ideas about who I can be, that I can take several paths and end up being very happy at the same time. Which is the other side of this, prison of choices. Now, if you're familiar with the fig tree analogy by Sylvia Plath, which I was introduced to by a very good friend of mine. So the fig tree analogy says that it's essentially someone who's become very fatigued by so many of the choices in life, to the point where they're unable to make the right choice because there are several equally enticing options, and it's akin to a fig tree having several of its figs ripen, fall to the ground, over ripen, rot and die. That none of the figs ever were to be consumed and felt. Now, there are two things, right? The two things that I feel are a little pessimistic about this analogy. Not that I'm calling Sylvia Plath pessimistic, but like I wouldn't be too far off. Nonetheless, I have not read enough of her to be an accurate judge of her works, but I digress once again. But yes, two things that I find to be very pessimistic with the fig tree analogy. The first being, I feel like if you have 10 equally good options, you take a step closer and closer to any fucking option in front of you, and it's not like you can take the right step. The idea is there is no right step, there is no wrong step. Just fall if you must. If you're standing and there are go back to the donkey placed between two equidistant pieces of apple or whatever, or cubes of sugar. I say, if the donkey is not able to decide, just stand there. Nature will do something. Nature will send you a strong gust of wind, push that apple towards you, or it will shoot you with lightning and burn you to a crisp. So, what I'm trying to say is, it is fundamentally impossible for every one of the options in front of you to be equally enticing all the time, every time in your life. So, eventually in the course of your life, either you will take the decision or the decision will be taken for you. But nonetheless, you will get to eat some part of the damn fig tree. So do not conceptualize about the thousands of other figs. Just eat the one that is in front of you, goddammit. Just like, not to say don't aim higher. Rather, that is precisely what I am trying to say, which is definitely aim higher, but do not be fatigued by the choices in front of you, because eventually, whether you take the right step or not, some choice is going to be made. Might as well that choice be made by you, right? Just to say, just to exert control over, as a conscious being in this universe, say, you know what, I can, so I will. If that makes sense. Now, we come to the part of the video where once again I'm grateful for today, because I'll be honest with you, I was very tired. Long day at the office, and I went to the gym straight after, and I just made dinner, and it's around 1:30 in the morning. So I made dinner around and had it around 12:30, and I have to wake up in 6 hours and go back to the office again, which I am enjoying, but like nonetheless, it is a little taxing. It is. Oh yeah, I also had to do the dishes and the laundry. Not that once again, I'm not complaining about life, but it's a never-ending battle. And you know what? Fuck if I complained. Even if I complain, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to be grateful at the end of the day that I have food to eat, and clothes to wear, and fresh clothes to wear, and a house to sleep in. So they're all wins for me. So yeah. Oh yeah, I also signed up for a powerlifting competition that's going to be on this Saturday. I'm definitely going to get absolutely ratioed by some really talented folks, because I've never trained specifically for powerlifting. B, I don't have a coach, but nonetheless, it will be an experience, and I will get to see how these people, how the athletes that perform in this actually do it. Uh, I think it goes back to that quote again, which is, the best time to start something was 6 months ago. The second best time is now, and I'm doing the second best time, which is now. Anyways, I keep looking over towards the text channel to see if my third and most important viewer has popped up. My friend says, uh, but I believe he may be asleep. Anyways, that was a lot of for a day, and I feel, as usual, that I've gotten a lot from this, and yeah, even for the moment, I even had the audacity to call myself an artist. I'm an artist, guys, very much an artist. But nonetheless, the reason I wanted to make that parallel is that I get satisfaction from doing my art, which is this far more than I would. Not far more, but even if there are no one, even if there's no one watching my painting. If that analogy makes sense, which kind of does in my head, but I hope it does to you too. Anyways, good night to the camera and to the ether. I hope what I had to say was of some value to you, and when I say you, I mean young me. And the speaking to young me is an idea that I borrowed from a YouTuber that I still kind of admire, but not so sure. I once again don't see eye to eye with a few of the things that he suggests. But yeah, it's something that I borrowed from Hamza, who's a Hamza Ahmed, who's a YouTuber, very famous, and he has a lot of good things to say as well. But um, perhaps his ideas about feminization of men, and uh, the whole conception of being raised by a woman-led household being wrong. Uh, Once again, I may be misquoting, but this is what I recall from the videos that I watched, and I may be inviting uh, haters onto myself, but that's not an issue. As long as what I'm saying is actually true and not a fucking figment of my fucking imagination. Yeah, those are things that I don't see eye to eye with, but nonetheless, I do admire him for the kind of human being he is. Uh, I do admire parts of him for the kind of human being he is. He is a very disciplined man. He has managed to create something for himself, and that's always admirable. Anyways, I think that was enough of talking about things. I'll call that the end of the stream and wish the camera and the ether a good night, and Faz a good morning or night whenever he watches this. Hopefully he does watch it. Oh wow, the audacity to think that he'll be watching this. But I am blessed with good friends, so always happy. Good night.